What's something your employer did that instantly killed employee morale? This school wanted to switch to Chromebooks. So what did they do? One summer while teachers weren't working, they removed every single Windows station and replaced them with Chromebooks to be issued to teachers. They were told to just figure it out. When teachers came up and asked how they could teach Photoshop, programming, AutoCAD 3D modeling, etc., the admin basically googled their program name plus Chromebook extension and told them, see, there's an extension for it and it works. I don't think I have to add that it did not work. They ended up bringing back the desktops for most teachers. If an experienced teacher has saved curricula on those hard drives and someone throws them out unannounced, backed up or not, somebody's gonna die. You're throwing away a person's life's work. Edit. We all know people who did not grow up computer literate or who avoid computer usage whenever possible. My point that is being missed is, backups or not, if someone comes into your daily office and replaces your computer without warning, you're gonna have beef with them. Teachers never understand computers. When we switched to Windows 8 at school, it was a drama. The library was a mess and they couldn't help students anymore because the computers don't work. The computers worked perfectly fine. They were just digitally illiterate. I once had a retail manager who sent out a memo that we worked so hard and did such a great job this month that she gets a bonus. That went over like a lead balloon. Worked in a deli years ago and the manager promised us a no holds barred barbecue at his place if he got his bonus for the deli performing well. He got his bonus and, surprise surprise, we got nothing. Apparently the wife wanted the bonus for their kids' private school fees. Doug, you suck. Doug, you suck. You jerk. Doug. I had a retail store manager who actually followed through on his promise for pizza parties if the store earned his bonus. Day shift got more of the party vibe, but he actually made sure to order food for the night shift and had it delivered hot and fresh instead of lousy leftovers. A few times, he even would show up there when the food was delivered and go around making sure people knew it was there and to grab some when they had a chance. I heard he even made sure the overpass crew got their fair share as well. Having had lousy dog type managers in my retail days, I certainly appreciated Kurt. Anything retail like that sucks. I worked for a Walmart like 20 years ago near me after a job layoff, and they were the worst. My tipping point was working over Black Friday on a 15-hour shift, being told I had to come back the next morning early. Would been like 4 to 5 hours between. Then the boss tried to get me to come in late or take extra lunch time to avoid paying overtime. I never bothered and kept all the overtime, then got a new job and quit on the spot. Frick that place and frick the greedy jerk Walton family. We had something similar in the produce department at the supermarket I worked at. Manager said it. We hit 100,000 sales in Christmas week. He got a bonus and he would have a big barbecue/party for us. 6 months later after much pestering, we finally got our barbecue/party. It was 2 cartons of warm cheap beer and a 12-pack of cheap sausages. His barbecue was out of gas, so we couldn't even eat the lousy sausages. They banned phones, electronics, puzzles, books, etc. from being used at your desk. I work at a call center. We were expected to just sit and wait for the next call to come in distraction free, even if it was a super slow day. As someone who has worked at a few call centers, are they nuts? That work can be mind numbing. You need something in your hands while you repeat the same instruction for the 400th time. They banned phones at my work, contact center, and any device with a camera as I work in government with public info. I now set up a Nintendo Switch and rock Mario Kart or Zelda between calls as there is no camera, no way to connect to a browser, and no voice recording. I'd call it a bit of malicious compliance in a way. Call centers were usually the worst. I worked at one that had a rule where the only bag you could bring into the office was supposed to be of a clear plastic material. Our statuses on the system were shown to everyone on the team. So if someone went to the washroom, they'd have to switch their settings to washroom. Everyone would know if you had to go number 2, and generally you get penalized for taking longer than like 5 minutes. Walking to the washroom is like 5 minutes. They stopped giving bonuses and raised our quotas. The pay was barely above minimum. But when you're broke as frick, that's the sort of place that will hire you fairly easily. Boss pitched a sales incentive trip to Cancun. If the team hit the goal, my team exceeded the goal, and then they cancelled the trip. 2 people quit. I accepted a position with their main competitor, and less than a year later, they closed in bankruptcy. Calm as a beach. Oh my gosh, this hits close to home. I used to manage a coffee shop that sold gift boxes over the holidays. The owner of the business created a competition where whichever of the 3 locations sold the most gift boxes, he would throw a party for it. My location eventually sold the most boxes and everyone was elated for their party. Flash to a year later, and feeling like the biggest piece of garbage, we finally got our party from the owner. But by that time, all trust and morale had already been destroyed. Frick that guy, and I hated that job. Not on the same level, but at my nursing facility, they had a decorating contest for Halloween with the winning unit getting pizzas for lunch from the local pizza place that is really good. A month after, I asked them how the pizza was, and they said they hadn't gotten it. Next day, the guy told me they ended up buying 4 $5 hot and readies instead. He then replied, "I actually wish we lost that contest now." I work in a big corporate building. The same older lady came by everyone's desk towards the end of the day to collect the trash. Just the sweetest lady ever, and every time she'd walk to my desk, she'd give me a big smile, ask me how my day was, and chat for a minute as she got my trash. Usually I'd dump it in for her. I had some rough days, but she has a way to cheer me up and send me home on a higher note. I know I'm not the only one either. So then a few weeks back, our work implemented a new policy to cut down on trash usage. It's no longer allowed to have a trash bin at our desk, and we have to walk across the room and use the community trash to throw anything away. Not a huge deal, but the real reason they did it is so they can cut down on cost. That is a cleaning crew. Sad to say that I haven't seen Sharon since. This is heartbreaking. My former employer did the same thing shortly before I quit. They said it was to encourage us to recycle. I'm sure that the amount they saved on the cleaning staff had nothing to do with it at all. Told a bunch of people they were going to be promoted to get us to do extra work. No one got promoted. I basically did her job for a month. Me and 3 of my co-workers quit, and she got fired a few months later. My job has been doing that to people including me. They pass people over for promotions, then say, "But if you do all this extra stuff, it'll look good for the next one." Meanwhile, managers promote their friends basically. Similar happened to me. We had to shift managers. One left. GM told me to apply and hired somebody with no company experience. I did his job for him for a few weeks. My morale went downhill. I quit, and half the shift left shortly after. The other manager too. GM ended up running the shift for a while from what I heard. A certain restaurant chain promoted a lower level manager to salary. We were also happy for him. Except that it was only for 1 or 2 weeks. Because he was accumulating so much overtime. I have no idea how they didn't have a lawsuit on their hands. And I can't even remember what happened after it. But I will say, almost everyone I ever worked with over the course of 3 years got out of there and very glad they are. I've got plenty of stories of my own. Exactly why I quit my job a couple weeks ago. Manager told me if I learned how to operate these other machines, I would be seeing more money. I was operating 3 machines and still being asked to help others whenever I finished that day's schedule for about 3 months. Finally had enough after realizing a raise was never going to happen. After I quit, they called me for 3 days asking me to come in and help them catch up on work. In a very short span of time, they changed everyone's 401k plan for the worse and then implemented an office-wide cleanliness policy. No eating at your desk. Only 3 personal items on your desk. Everything labeled. No items other than your keyboard, mouse, and monitors on your desk at the end of the day. Talk about ticked off. You could feel the gloom when you walked in. Everyone's give a darn broke at once. My work just gave me a desk, and they actively encouraged decoration and personalization. It's ridiculous that your work would ask you to limit the space that only you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Might have cleaned out the employees as well. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, Please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.